Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. So, on this show, pretty much we go over anything that is spiritual, animal related. So, yeah, we're talking about power animals, our totems, our spirit guides. So, how is it that we get information from them? Are we aware when we're getting information from them? Because it doesn't only take place in shamanic journeys, it doesn't only take place in dreams or meditation. It happens right here in the physical world if we're aware. I say all the time that when an odd animal crosses your path, there's a reason. Synchronicity itself has made that happen because there's a message there that you need to get, you need to see for whatever reason. And at that point, it's up to you to notice what is that message the spirit is trying to give you through that animal appearing in your life. Now, obviously, if you own a cat and a cat is your pet or a rabbit is your pet, whatever your pet is, that's not where spirit's going to be talking to you as a spirit guide that may have just popped up. Some spirit guides are not meant to stay with you. They're only meant to stay with you until the message has been received. So in the physical world, when they show up, obviously they have to be something that is out of the ordinary. They have to be something that we don't see every day, like a raccoon showing up or a skunk showing up. Hey man, depending on where you live, you might see a horse. I don't know. It could be anything. Spirit has a way of being able to do absolutely anything to get your attention. Maybe it's a vision. Maybe you just close your eyes and you get a vision and you're seeing, whatever the animal is, whatever that vision is. And then when you realize that and you go to look up what that medicine is for that animal, there is always a message there. Unless it's an animal you see every single day. If you live in an area where squirrels are all the time, well, if you see a squirrel, that's not going to be a message because you see a squirrel every day. Anyway, we talk about all different things. We talk about what are some of these aspects of our power animals or our spirit guides. We talk about, finding out that information through journeying. We talk about meditation, finding that information through our dreams as well as our everyday life. But today we are going to be going over the element of water and the direction of east and how that also creates a stronger message coming from spirit. Because when we understand what the four directions are and those four elements, and we emphasize that into what the animal actually is bringing us for a message, it makes that a stronger, deeper, more meaningful message that we not only can learn the power of that or the guidance and the lessons, but we can carry it not just into our moment of our life that Spirit is teaching us, but we can carry it through our life. Because in general, when we add the four directions, the four elements into anything that we're receiving spiritually, it brings us into a better understanding of the circle of existence and how it never ends. So it brings it to a longer process we can carry through our life and our teaching that brings us healing, power, guidance, and lessons. So naturally, if I'm going to be going over the elements, even if I'm really only going over the West and water, I'm going to start off with just reminding us a little bit of the importance of all of these different directions and elements, even though today we're really only going over, like I said, water and West, along with how it has corresponding animals to the very direction and element. Because the fact that the four go on forever, not just the direction or the element itself, but when we start to put it into our life and we start to see it from a bigger picture, the four go on forever. The four is part of your lifetime. We have 4 lifetimes. We have our birth. Then we have what is our youth and turning into a teenager. We have growing into our maturity as we become older, as well as elderly and moving into actual death. So the natural cycle of life is the four. We have our four seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. We have the four moons: the waxing moon, the full moon, the new moon, and the waning moon. We have the four times of day: dawn, the afternoon, dusk, and midnight. And what is typically seen as our four characteristics: our right side, our left side, in front of us, and in back of us. The four can't really be changed. It's not meant to be altered. That's why we have our four directions, our four elements. The four goes on forever. It actually is a part of creation and the circle of life. Therefore, it is our seasons of our life, of our journey. And each one of us have an individual different journey where we have to learn our lessons and receive different power as well as healing. They are patterns which are relived that bring us eternal renewal. It allows us to not only learn and grow, but to take advantage of the ebb and flow of nature itself and the seasons and learn year by year, season by season, day by day, night by night, how to incorporate these lessons into our life. Because the four is a creative force that empowers us, it helps us to be the creator of our own life by entering the creator spirit, by being part of it. However, though, by adding in the animals that are corresponding to those elements, it helps us to understand better because we see animals throughout our whole life. We've learned of them from school. Even if we've never seen that animal before, we still know something of it. So, therefore, animals have been with us through all of existence. It's an easier way for us to understand, even in the physical reality, how spirit is communicating, trying to help us and guide us in our life through our journey in the best positive ways. Just because modern civilization appears to have transcended past humans' reliance of needing of those animals does not mean that we are so far isolated from the earth or from the animal realm. Remember, we're not so far removed from wildlife being part of our civilization. Merely a century ago, we still had in our largest cities pigs roaming freely. That transformation was literally on horse and buggy. We still ride horses today, but we do it for entertainment. We do it for fun. It's not that we need them the way we used to. This is what I'm getting at. Because today we rely on our car or our truck to get us where we need to. We don't need that horse and buggy to get us from one area to another. However, the wildlife is still part of our life, just not as drastic as it was a century ago. It's not like you're typically going to have a wolf show up in your neighborhood, where a century ago that was quite possible. However, it's not completely unheard of for some wild animals to still appear, depending on where it is that you live. So, anyway, like I said, we're going to be discussing the direction of the west as well as the element of water and what that means. The direction is of healing, intuition, communication, strength of will. Direction is also of abundance, embodies the emotional aspect of all things. It is your adulthood when you have entered being wiser. But it also brings us lessons of magic, of shape shifting, of creativity, of adapting, and of course, our emotional health. So the element of water is power of emotions. It is the feeling realm. It's paying attention to your mood, your feelings about yourself, your intimacy, your trust in those relationships with yourself as well as others. Let's face it, anything in this world that is important to you, you have a relationship with. You have a relationship with yourself, with your own health, with your own emotional being, with your mind. You have a relationship with your family. You have a relationship with your work. You have a relationship with your money, even. If it is important to you, you have a relationship with it. So, therefore, water hits you in every direction of your life of something that you personally care about. What is it that's important to you? For some level or another, this is where the emotions come in, and having power of those emotions and being honest with the relationship that you are having with that relationship. Because seeing truths aren't always easy. A lot of times we misunderstand our own emotions. So therefore, it's hard for us to see the truth of the relationship that we are in, depending on what it is that relationship is. Like I said, we have relationships with ourselves, with our family, with our peers, with our children. It goes on and on. Even your finances. You do have a relationship with your money. Otherwise, you wouldn't have money and you wouldn't be worried about what you could or couldn't buy, where you can live, if you can pay your bills, so forth. There is a relationship with everything that is important to you in life that moves you through life. So, long story short, the element of water is your emotions. It's your feeling body, but it's more than your feeling body. It's the ocean within you. It's your deep sea voyage into your truth of your emotions and coming to understand what they truly mean, what is truly happening there. Along with, this is why I said sometimes the directions also have a difference with just the element, because the West also is about age. It's about your maturity. It's about the wisdom that has come through all of the different learning that you have had in your life. It is about adulthood and being responsible. It moves past just the simple fire and passion within an emotion. It brings us into the deeper understanding and knowledge of it. It also shows us the error of our ways, where some of the dumb things we have done now we can look at humorously as we look back at them, even though at the time it wasn't such a funny thing while we were going through it. And that in itself is growth, self growth, and that is evolving. Now, some of the animals that connect with this element and this direction obviously are pretty much any kind of fish out there, because we are talking about water, but also cat, frog, turtle, dolphin, whale, otter, seal, shellfish, the sea birds, swan, and even the bear. So I want to talk about the jellyfish. The jellyfish happens to be one that I rarely, ever hear anyone ever speak about. Let's face it, we don't think of a jellyfish ever bringing healing. Because let's face it, you've been at the beach and you or someone you know has been stung by one. So you don't think of jellyfish ever being something that would guide you. Sure, we think of like the frogs or giant ones like the shark and other animals that are of water. But jellyfish is one that kind of gets forgotten. We don't even notice it very often. When it comes into these thoughts of spiritual energies and possibly having information of guidance for us, jellyfish is just not your typical thought. Now, the reason why jellyfish happens to be an important one to me is because in spirit, I had a jellyfish following me around for a couple weeks once until I finally got its message. And let me just tell you, being a person who is able to see spirit, having a jellyfish follow you around is a very odd thing. Especially when that first thought is about being stung by one. So it's not always, even in spirit, that the message is easy to be received. We can't help that sometimes we fear things we don't understand, but learning through our mistakes That is growth. You see, a message that the jellyfish brings us is there is no need to feel vulnerable when we are coming from the heart, because the heart knows itself that love is power and strength that is from within each of us, and that is where we all grow. Trust your heart and its guidance as it is key. Then go with the flow. You see, it's easy to misjudge animals, rather from the physical reality or in spirit coming to you. And it's not that you do it even on purpose. It's because your mind has an idea about that animal, period. And you forget to look for a deeper meaning. Just like with me, I was having this jellyfish spirit animal follow me around for a few weeks. And in the beginning, all that was going through my mind is, oh no, man, jellyfish sting. Something bad. Something very, very bad's about to happen. But they are about sensitivity. Sensitivity to water. And what is water? Water is your emotional being. So they're teaching you about sensitivities about the emotions that are within you. So at first, obviously, I was not trying to hear what the jellyfish message was trying to bring to me, what healing it was trying to bring and teach me. I was avoiding it. I didn't really want anything to do with it. Like I said, I prejudged it and I was like, very, very, very bad. No, it'll hurt. No. Again, that's one of those lessons that we have to learn from, whether it's in real life or it's in spiritual energy, from our dreams, shamanic journeys, our meditations. And sometimes, for those who are like me who do see spirit, sometimes they collide. So it's bringing into your physical world through spiritual energy, not an actual jellyfish. Nevertheless, it was following me around. And this is why I say you can never prejudge, because when you prejudge, you are stopping yourself from getting the medicine you need. Now, come on now. Obviously, I'm not telling you to learn a lesson, go jump in with a bunch of jellyfish. No, I'm not telling you that. But I am saying, hey, but maybe you happen to notice them floating at the beach somewhere near you. It might be time to evaluate some emotional situations. Because maybe they happen to be floating nearby for a reason. Not for you to go jump in, get stung, and try to learn a lesson. Yeah, it's not going to quite work that way. But when we remember the synchronicity puts us in sync with everything, for whatever reason, our surroundings are reflecting something that we need to learn. And this is why I use animal wisdom, because it's one of the easiest ways to pick up on those messages, because we can learn from the animals. It's not always as easy to learn from the plants or the trees or the water itself and other spiritual energies. But if the jellyfish shows up as a guide for you for some reason, you may have faith, but the jellyfish may need to guide you in life of some direction to help you with that faith. The jellyfish may be teaching you how to persevere above your suffering. It's quite possible that the jellyfish could be giving you directions, especially with matters of love, because love always deals with our deeper emotions, our deeper waters. It's possible also that the jellyfish is telling you, hey, I need a helping hand here, or I need a companion in at least some way in your life. Key traits and symbolisms of the jellyfish is intention, inner strength, and power, going with the flow, trusting in the process, sensitivity to water, which is also our emotions, protection, acceptance and faith, tackling challenges, understanding the value of floating and not swimming through some of our emotional situations in life, illumination, simplifying of life, organization, untangling ourselves and the ability of how to do it, along with understanding the proper use of softness, of not being rigid, Okay, everybody, we got to take a few moments for our sponsors, let them do their thing, and then we'll be right back with the show.
Hearthside Handmade carries an array of unique handcrafted art, jewelry, and magical tools at reasonable prices. Most items are created using reclaimed or natural materials. Hearthside Handmade is also home to Cardea's Curios, an ever-changing selection of curiosities and magical ingredients responsibly wild harvested from the beautiful Silver Pines farm in Georgia. Visit their website today at hearthsidehandmade.com. That's HEARTHSIDEHANDMADE.com. The Witch Candle Shop is nestled in the beautiful foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, where we make all of the unique handcrafted goods that are offered exclusively through our Etsy store. The Witch Candle Shop is proud to provide personalized service and supplies for the New Age and traditional practitioners of American witchcraft, conjure, southern root work, and other magical practices. While some shops may say no, we will gladly embrace the darker style of magic for our customers. The Witch Candle Shop, offering quality handcrafted products at reasonable prices. Check us out at our Etsy shop, which can be found at witchcandleshop.etsy.com. That's WITCHCANDLESHOP.ETSY.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back. Thank you for sticking around. And this is Getting Familiar. And I am Lady Stars and Fire. So today we have been discussing the direction of the West as well as the element of water and what are some of its corresponding animals. Getting a deeper insight with the direction, the element, as well as the animals to see what the depth of some of this animal medicine, some of this wisdom, this healing, this guidance, our power we can get from these animals bring to us in our life, not only right now in our life, but for what else might be going on, but also how we can carry it through our life and through the cycles, through all of the directions and all of the elements to help our life cycle to be stronger through healing and powerful ways. So we were starting off talking about the jellyfish, and I was sharing with everyone how at one point in my life, I personally had a spirit of a jellyfish following me around, as well as the fact I misjudged that jellyfish, because in my mind, automatically, jellyfish meant sting. Oh no, bad, 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 bad stuff. And when we misjudge, we miss for a longer period of time being able to receive the messages that are coming or the healing that would be coming because we're fighting it. Like I said, I was prejudging it and assuming sting, bad, no, want nothing to do with jellyfish. But in truth, it's trying to teach us that we don't need to feel vulnerable when we are coming from our heart because it knows love is power as well as strength, from which it is that we all grow. To trust in your heart and its guidance as it is key and learn to go with the flow. That's why I chose to start off discussing the jellyfish because it definitely hits the element of water and the direction of the West, all about our emotional healing. As well as I believe when one speaks out, it helps others to understand. And still to this day, I will not deny having a jellyfish spirit follow me around for a couple weeks till I learned my lesson was one of the most strangest events that I have ever had. Even though I know just how strangely funny that sounds. But anyway, back to jellyfish. There are actually different kinds of jellyfish. Some live near the surface. right where the water meets the land. So they have rare interactions with the world within their reach. Then there are more that are living in the deep sea. These jellyfish are a little bit more submissive, more quiet. Yet, in the darkness that surrounds them, they glow bright and they are radiant and full of color. Some of them are giant, just flowing through life in their own time on their own little journeys. They are so mysteriously brilliant looking that it's even a challenge to define them. But in truth, there are many different species of the jellyfish, and the man of war is the one that is most known. They grow anywhere from 3 to 14 inches long, but they can rise up to 6 inches out of water. And depending on how big the jellyfish is, their tentacles can grow up to 45 feet below the water. And it is these tentacles which bear the stinging cells. This is actually a survival technique as well as helping them with their prey, because these tentacles shoot out a stinging poison, which is deadly. It is there to inject the fish that come near them. But the jellyfish tend to stay in the warmer areas of the sea, as they actually sweep across the entire planet. During the warmer seasons, they tend to move closer to the poles, and during the cooler months, they tend to move closer to the equator. In doing this, they provide for us the understanding of going with the flow and acceptance of faith, because they believe that what is necessary will be provided for them for their survival wherever it is that they flow to. Because the jellyfish pretty much is the only creature that relies strictly on movement for the sustenance of their lives. Because they have almost no ability to move on their very own. So it becomes that their very existence must rely upon the ocean itself and the air for the water's currents to move them in the directions they must be so they can survive. So their ability to float where the ocean takes them is necessary. It's a must. It's critical for their survival. They teach us that going with the flow is sometimes better than swimming, because they remind us they are unable to move. They must go with the flow. Swimming is not an option for them. So therefore, control as to their direction is out of their limits. They don't have that. They don't have that as an option, period. Reminding us personally, control over our life is a mere idea, a thought. So trying to swim the directions of our life may not always be the right answer, but going with the flow and allowing the waters to take us where it is we need to go may lead us more to the truth within our lives and our own emotions, which we often don't want to admit to. As our emotions can become confusing, so can the direction of our life. So in this very act, they are teaching us how to believe in ourselves, our emotions, to follow through with them, the intuition of them, our inner wisdom of them, not necessarily swim the direction, but to flow with the direction, to actually flow in harmony with the currents of life, to trust in Mother Earth and her natural flow. This is faith, baby. It is said that ancient healers hold the belief that the tapestry of true spiritual knowledge is held within the transparent form of the jellyfish. And why not? The jellyfish itself reminds us control is fake, going with the flow is real. Trust and faith within the natural flow of our own hearts, our desires. That is real. And that's where your faith needs to be, in whatever it is that you are searching for. So jellyfish is also teaching you that if this is your power animal, balance and maintenance of balance in all areas of your life is a lesson that you must learn. For any of us, to be able to maintain, to restore balance within our lives at all. Period. That is a fragile thing, often very hard for any of us to maintain, to keep solid, to keep our balance straight. For it is delicate, it can easily be set out of whack. I can completely understand why ancient healers would think of or look to the jellyfish for spiritual knowledge. So, again, if the jellyfish happens to flow into your life, maybe you should ask yourself, are you flowing with life in a balanced manner? Or are you flowing aimlessly with not enough time, actively crossing the currents or heading toward your goals? Watch yourself, alternatively. Take a lesson from the jellyfish, and balance can be achieved. To see a jellyfish come to you in your dreams symbolizes the surfacing of healing of painful memories. It itself is telling you you are now ready to deal with aspects that you need to for healing this situation, as it reminds you to move on with forgiveness and with love, to focus on the light within those memories, and the lesson can be found, for they are still valuable to you in some way. Know the hidden hostility and aggression will never serve you well, but possibly check your self-esteem and discover that light that is still within you. For the jellyfish brings us power of our intention and shows us how to be unafraid to allow the universe to show us the way. They remind us we have a great deal of ability to take everything in stride, that you have the ability to tackle difficult challenges with minimum fuss and stress. They remind us to be organized, to know how and when and where to share our workload, to trust in the process you involve yourself in, but to allow it to come from a place of acceptance and faith. I love the jellyfish as a spirit guide, as a power animal, for teaching us and giving us healing messages. I think it is awesome. It has so much information to give, even though it's something we would typically overlook. We don't think of, we kind of forget about, and that's sad. Although I happen to admit, I would much rather have it come to me in spirit and learn its messages that way than to fall into a whole swarm of them at the beach. So thank you, jellyfish spirit, who followed me around for a little while. I hope that your messages can help others without having to catch your sting from the beach for those messages to get received. So now that we are discussing the West and water, along with animals that go with it, a lot of them obviously are going to be fish. But I want to go from one extreme to another. I want to go from the jellyfish now to the shark. Symbolic traits of the shark is being a hunter, survival, adaptability, independence, potential, fearlessness, power, emotions, transformation, balance, clairaudience, being perceptive, calculating, instinctive, ancient and ancient knowing wisdom, focused, curiosity, unique vision, and perpetual motion. Let's face it, sharks have a bad reputation of being dangerous, fearless, and unpredictable. Everybody is scared of a shark. Nobody wants to be eaten by a shark. Let's face it, they got a bad rep, but that simply is because we fear them. And come on, I mean, we do fear them for good reason. They ignite a feeling of terror and fear in many, many people. I mean, it's said that a single full shark is generally pretty peaceful, but it's not like we're going to jump out there and find out how full it is so we know how peaceful it's feeling. You see, sharks have an extremely accurate sense of smell. A shark can smell one drop of blood in 50 million times as much water. For us to view a shark would seem that it's restless, but that's because a shark cannot stop swimming. It has no swimming bladder. Therefore, if it stopped swimming, it will simply sink to the bottom of the ocean. You see, they feel the pressure waves made by the fish and are sensitive to the current. So those with the power of the shark will be taught how to cultivate their own sensory abilities. So studying aromatherapy for those with the power of the shark would be beneficial to their very medicine. Spirit is saying also it will be beneficial to understanding the feeling of the flow of the energy of which they will be in, as well as the best way of adapting to it at that time. And if you're not completely understanding what I'm saying right now, what I mean is Spirit right now is having me hear what would sound like changes under the water, the movements of under the water, actual pressure changes from within under the water, and how it would affect you on a sensibility, like on your skin, how you would feel it coming at you in your own life for energy. So how we would sense on our own body as well the energies that would be coming and changing around us is what I'm feeling that Spirit is telling me right now. How to adapt to that sensibility. So the shark power would be teaching us not just to adapt, but how to embrace the pressure changes of the currents of waters that we may be in, with to whatever senses it is that are picking this up, obviously in a protective way for us, but even down to our tasting, our senses of our body and our skin, our feelings, our emotions, our smells, whatever senses it is that are picking it up. If shark is bringing you its power, these are areas that you will learn to embrace from shark to understand how to protect yourself. You see, the shark connects with us in the creative element of life of water. And we all know that water is linked to our emotional being, our deep emotions, our deep seas of our waters, our buried emotions, our buried feelings. So shark brings us emotional transformation by revealing to us the strengths of the currents within our lives, as well as seeing clearly through the murky waters of what may be our future. As we observe the shark's swimming patterns, it teaches us how to get out of our emotional conflicts. Now, typically, all fish can teach us how to adapt to our environments or to streamline our lives. A fish swimming downward symbolizes involution of spirit. So, obviously, a fish swimming upward is evolution of one's spirit. But again, we already discussed a shark cannot stop swimming. So, for us, this reminds us to stay busy and active. The shark people are often workaholics, but are also often the ones who are able to accomplish those tasks that seem seamlessly impossible. That would be a shark person. But shark people are also those who need those times to themselves to remain calm, balanced, and centered, for they will turn irritable, anxious, aggressive if they cannot work out this time of balance. For this is where you may see that terror side of the shark come out in them if they do not have their time to their self, that balanced, calming time to their self. It may come out and express itself. But just like anything else in this world, balance is needed. Balance is fragile. And when out of whack, negativity pops up. But with shark, naturally, the power is fierce, of determination and authority, while not eating others alive. So balance becomes even more important for those with shark medicine. Think of a fierce, strong woman who is still graceful in her spirit. They know what they want and they go after it fiercely with light radiating from within them. Who is your role model of being able to be fierce, yet still maintaining grace? Man or woman, allow them to be a mentor to you so that you can learn to swim with shark, to succeed at your goals, all with a style still of grace. Okay, everybody, it's time for us to take another moment for our sponsors. Let them do their thing, and then we'll be right back with the show.
Looking for authentic pagan wares? Then check out Onyx Moon Emporium, where they offer an eclectic mix of metaphysical and spiritual related items, handcrafted using old recipes and traditions, where everything is created in small batches by authentic and experienced practitioners. Their promise to customers is authenticity. From witchy items, conjure goods, setting of lights, to a wide selection of magical and conditioned oils. Also handcrafted wooden grimoires and journals, made to order magical candles in all shapes, sizes, and intents. From angel kits to gree-gree, herbs and curios, from naughty to nice and everything in between. Many items are custom made, so they are uniquely yours. Special orders welcome, and if you have an idea for something you're not finding, they're happy to work with you. Need an oil that's not listed? A spell you can't find? Looking for that hard-to-find herb or curio? They probably have it, or they can make it. Visit them at onyxmoonemporium.com or find them on Facebook. Onyx Moon Emporium. From angels to Zen, find everything for your magical life.
Since 2014, the Pagan Business Network has been building resources by bringing together pagan-owned and pagan-friendly businesses. With multiple resources available, it doesn't matter if you're an artisan, musician, vendor, author, publishing company, blogger, podcaster, event planner, or any other organization. We have the resources here to help you succeed. Becoming a member is easy and affordable, even for the smallest of budgets. With your membership, you will get Business Spotlight, which is an article written in an interview style, complete with details and photos. Social media sharing through the Pagan Business Network. A blog roll. A membership card for discounts at participating businesses. You'll also get discounts on tickets to all Pagan Business Network events, and so much more. You can check us out at paganbusinessnetwork.com for more information.
All right, everybody, and we are back. This is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. Now, if you're only just tuning in, we have been discussing the west direction and the element of water, along with corresponding animals to the direction and element. How, when we understand that spirit guides or power animals that might be coming to us are also coming from directions as well as elements, it is bringing a much deeper aspect, a deeper information and guidance, healing or learning. It's coming from more than just the animal. It's coming from spirit itself. It's coming from the elements, from the directions, making it a stronger connection, a stronger medicine that you are receiving, not just to carry with you right now, but possibly to carry through with you in your entire life, your circle of life. So the very corresponding animals to those elements and those directions actually mean a lot. Now, again, we had been discussing the west and water as an element. So I started off speaking about jellyfish, and then we flipped the script and we started talking about shark. But now I want to move over to the otter. So some symbolic traits of the otter is creativity, imagination, laughter, women's healing and wisdom, loving memories, love of the young, joy, sensibility without submission, playfulness, guidance of unmasking talents, sharing, psychic awareness, togetherness, faithfulness, curiosity, recovery issues, awakening, understanding the value of playtime, and simply reminding us life can be fun with the right attitude. So there are two kinds of otters, the river and the sea otter. They are linked to primal feminine energy of life, and they are the element of both earth and water. In both Celtic and Native American cultures, the otter is the master of play. To view a otter or an entire family of otters reminds us that life can be viewed as a game, as fun, as playful, that life should be enjoyed rather than burdened and endured. They remind us living is not painful, but a gift. When we were children, we had play down pat. We knew how to play. We knew how to be adventurous. We knew how to let our mind be inspiring and let the child within us create. We were serious about play. We weren't burdened with the daily tasks of the bills and the dishes and soccer practice and homework, deadlines and goals. As we matured, we started to forget about play because we became too serious. This is what Otter is trying to teach us. Not so serious. For that's exactly what Otter is here to do if it has popped up into your life. It's here to show you again how to play, how to not be so serious about everything, to reawaken the inner child from within. The otter reminds us to pay attention to its behavior. The extremely curious otter will show up right next to a human, maybe on the boat, maybe pop its head out from the water and float alongside. They are curious about the world. They are interested and ready to explore it. They remind us that what we think we know already may be just enough to keep us from exploring or what is actually causing us rejection. But as we discard information that is no longer relevant, we become lighter. We become more playful. We're willing to take the chance again. The otter teaches us how to detach from our problems, but to still be curious enough about them to find new ways of answering them, and yet to somehow still naturally allow them to unfold. When we let go and we're not as serious and always in wonder or worry about something, it allows us to find things naturally and allows us to find our balance through our playfulness for our inner child to actually have been helpful, therefore allowing us to catch our fish just as easily as the otters do. The otters represent women's medicine, as it is a feminine energy. They're friendly, they're playful, but otters are even free of jealousy. If an otter enters your life in any form, whether it's in real life or again in your dreams or your journeying or your meditations, it's reminding you of your femininity and beauty, to let that free spirit out, to create a space for others to enter and be part of your life without feeling like they shouldn't be there or intruding. The otter reminds us that feminine energy is not about jealousy nor bitchiness, but sisterhood and sharing, joy in all things. That the world can be a joyful place where we can reside happily, playfully, and without jealousy, not to living our life being afraid of being harmed or of having loss within our life. That feminine energy resides in all of us, both male and female, as we carry both sides of the energy. But feminine energy sometimes is needed more than masculine. Being so aggressive or assertive is not necessarily the answer, but being free spirited maybe. It's kind of like catching bees with honey. Again, we're talking about water. So part of the otter's deep association is with water, for this is where they spend most of their time. So while within the water, they are very fast and agile. Water not only represents our emotional body, but receptivity. They remind us, let life Simply be. The otter is often seen just floating along on its back with its little paws up in the air or within the water. This reminds us, don't stop the flow just to spend your time worrying, but instead learn to be like the otter and simply glide and float on our backs through the ups and downs. We put way too much effort into our worries, into our problems, but instead allow life to be effortless. Go with it. Don't just see the negative and the worryful parts of it, but take in the scenery of all of it. Breathe, float, enjoy. It's going to find a way to work itself out. Otters are not afraid of humans. Not at all. In fact, they have very few natural enemies. They are also excellent parents, looking after their young. They continue to look after their young longer than most marine animals do. For the baby otter is not born knowing how to swim. It has to be taught, much like we do. It reminds us of the natural flow of learning to flow playfully with the natural order of life with our own siblings, with our own peers in our lives as well. That growth can be accomplished with togetherness. As the otter symbolizes creative nurturing, so our very own energy within us is often similar and therefore shows us how to honor them. Enjoy the company of others. An otter is rarely seen alone. That family is important and should be kept close. But to dance, enjoy, and play with those that you love, the family that is yours. Freely be yourself, and to surrender to the cool caress of your waters, and to effortlessly float on these waters with those that you love, as they teach you to reach out your hand and drift timelessly through space and freedom. Because somehow the otter seems to have a magical elixir that you cannot resist. Her spirit is simply irresistible, and being in her presence, you want to share in that magic that she can unveil. What about that is not wanting of life for yourself, for others, or togetherness? What about that is not wanting? But by watching her activity, this is exactly how she is teaching you how to be, how to create your life in such a way that it's more magically inclined, how it's more fun, how you can bring that to yourself as well as others. That feminine, uplifting spirit to simply shine. So let's face it, sometimes, quite honestly, our emotional selves aren't acting right. Period. We're not acting right. Sometimes we're unapproachable people. Sometimes we're not exactly coming from that loving heart. We're not exactly showing how to be soft and approachable. Sometimes we're coming from an aggressive spot in our life. We're aggressive because we're trying to figure out how to fix a situation. We're just caught in ourselves. We're not paying attention to the world around us. We're caught in our own life at the very moment. We're emotionally stuck on ourselves. We're stuck on how to fix a situation or just not paying any attention to anything that's going on around us because we're stuck in ourselves. This can ultimately come out aggressive at times or assertive for the way that we are behaving. We don't mean to behave in a negative way because being aggressive and being assertive isn't necessarily negative, but it's not exactly approachable. It's not the softer side of us. It's not that magically inclined side of us when we are caught in ourselves. So therefore, we're not showing that free-spirited person, that feminine energy. We're not being soft. We're not being approachable when we are acting this way. Nor can we if we're only caught up in our own selves at the moment. This might be exactly if Otter has come into your life, what Otter is teaching you. It has everything to do with letting go of that seriousness and finding that free-spirited personality that is within you, the shine that only you have, from your softer side, from your approachable side, from that playful side, the fun side of you. This is where Otter reminds us, get out of that seriousness. Stop it. You're going to forget to enjoy life if you stay in it. Sure, now, there is a time to be serious in life, but sometimes we just stay serious in life. We don't let that fun personality come out. Yes, sure, we have to be mature adults and we have things to take care of. But if we just stay in the seriousness of it and we let it damper our moods, then it dampers our self and our very ability to enjoy the life that we are having at this moment. Oh, I am a Leo. I am guilty of this. I am not better than anybody else. I am guilty of this. I get caught in myself and my situations and I forget all about everything going on around me. But I have to remind myself, balance, go with the flow of things so that I stay approachable, I stay happy, I stay joyful and loving. When we let our playful side out, everything flows easier. It comes through us naturally. We become more like the otter. We can take a nice little float in the water, looking up at the night sky and viewing all of the beautiful stars like they were created just for us to enjoy. We can have playful settings with our friends and our loved ones and enjoy life, such as campfires and get-togethers or barbecues. Or we can live ourselves stressed out and emotionally moving in a not positive way. It's good to be assertive. It's good to be aggressive. But it's also good to know when not to be and to know when playfulness is needed. This may be why Otter has popped up into your life, if one has, even if it's in a dream, even if it's in a journey, or in physical reality. She reminds us the feminine side of us is just as much needed as the masculine, and it is what keeps us balanced, playful yet receptive, for within it is where our magic lies. That is the irresistible being that is magically inclined, known as you, darling. It's your very own personal, approachable, attractive, and glowing side of you. The side that everybody can't resist. Okay, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and I hope to see you next week. Again, this is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. Take care of yourselves and use you wisely. Hugs and kisses in the wind until it is time again. Bye.